So what are the components of this front derailleur? You got the clamp right here with the clamp bolt. This is what holds it onto the bike, the seat tube here. You got the cable retaining bolt or tension bolt or whatever you call it, the bolt that holds the cable on. And you'll notice that this moves, if I can, there we go. All right, yeah, it moves out, that's right. So if I push this way on it, this moves just a little bit, but enough to pull the chain up onto the larger chainring or to knock it down onto the smaller one. So you need the proper sized clamp here for your seat tube. Mine is the correct size. It came from another bike, but it's still the correct size. 31.8 millimeters, I think, is the diameter, inner diameter, I think. All right, so for installing the front derailleur, this is instructions for the Shimano 105. This is a Shimano Sora, older model, 3300. This is Shimano 105, 5700. I think the instructions are pretty much the same though. So basically, first thing you want to do is clamp onto the seat tube here, which is what I'm doing, or what I've done. So there's a bolt back here that you screw in, and I've already done that. It's still a little loose though. And what you want to do, first thing, is you want to make sure this outer plate, by outer plate they mean this plate here, the outside plate, this plate closest to you when you're looking at the bike. You want to make sure that it has a clearance vertically of 1 to 3 millimeters above the large chainring. So we're just going to go ahead and, I'm not messing with the chain really so much right now, let's just move it out of the way. So let's just go ahead and move it down. Moving on to the next step, so we just installed the front derailleur. All right, well now to actually set it up. Number one, set the low adjustment. Set so the clearance between the chain guide inner plate, this is the inner plate, the plate that's closer to the inside of the bike, so this plate here. It says set it so the inner plate and the chain is 0 to 0.5 millimeters, so extremely close. Now they're talking about low adjustment. Low adjustment screw is what they're talking about. So basically you need to get a good screwdriver. This is a Park, doesn't say, this is a Park screwdriver though, with a good metal tip on it so you're not stripping stuff, and make sure you use the right size of screwdriver when you're working on these limiting screws. And we want to set the low adjustment screw, which, you know, as you would expect, sometimes it's marked with an L. This is an old derailleur. It doesn't have any marks that I can see, although it probably has a mark somewhere. I'm just not seeing it. But the low adjustment screw is the one that's lower here. So, and it shows depending on which way you turn the screw, it will move the assembly left to right. So if we screw it in clockwise, it's going to move the assembly further away from the bike. If you unscrew the low limiting screw, it will move the front derailleur in toward the bike. And we want to get it so that inner plate right here is 0 to 0.5 millimeters away from basically touching the chain when it's on the lower or the smaller chain ring. So with all that in mind, let's go ahead and take our chain. We're going to thread it through the front derailleur and onto the small chain ring. They also talk about where you should be in the rear derailleur when you're doing all this setup, which I believe is a large ring in the back. I don't really care though, because I'm not doing that. Yeah, largest sprocket in the back. I don't care about that though. So let's get on the. So we got it threaded through the front derailleur here. Got threaded through the rear derailleur. Did this earlier. Let me see here. Here it is. Sort of like an S shape. Zoom, 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 zoom. Looks pretty straight in line here. Cog, upper pulley, lower pulley, looking good.